I'm delighted to stay. I'll just hide the fried chicken that I've been at.
I'm having a good time.
Come and join us. I'm delighted to say now that Simon Cox is here live. Oh, my dad will be gutted.
Oh, did I leave him?
Yeah, you missed him. He still goes on about the time you scored just after his your pre-match handshake. So
I might stink. I've just done I've just done 5-a-side at like the Chase.
No. How did you get on?
We won't talk about
it. So first of all, how's your gym going and post-football? How tough was it for you to retire and get into any next venture?
Ease me in, like nice.
Yeah, the nice easy one to start with. Yeah.
Do you know what? The gym's going really well. I've really enjoyed it. It's good to see people on the same journey, experiencing like the levels that they really want to achieve. And then like retiring's hard. It's tough. It is really tough. Trying to find your way. And for me, my ideal thing was to go into coaching. I really wanted to do that, but I retired at a really bad time. I wanted to go in during the COVID period, and it just never really materialized. So I had to find another way. Yeah.
Do you still harbour ambitions of that, or?
I still see a lot of advertisements, and I think, should I, shouldn't I? But you know what? I'm really happy with where I am at the minute, and it's I'm quite happy.
Yeah. And we talk about your playing career. I mean, you must be exceptionally happy with that you had. There's so many highs to sort of look back on, but what do you look at and remember with sort of such fondness?
All of it, to be honest. Like, I loved it. I lived a dream that majority of boys and girls would love to have had. But the thing is, you're never able to plan for the end.
Yeah.
Because you just never know when that's gonna happen. So for me, I loved every minute of it. I loved being able to do something that I loved. Loved scoring the goals. I loved like walking out every day, and I enjoyed training, and it just gave me a smile every day.
Yeah, and you got to play in the Premier League, score in the Premier League, play for your country. I mean, there's a lot of highs that you got good highlights reel.
I've got a very good highlights reel. Yeah, I enjoyed it, mate. It really nice.
And then it came to sort of Southend United. It's never dull at Southend, is it? Putting it politely.
Never. No.
What were your early impressions of the club when you sort of first came in, and what attracted you to join Blues?
Well, Phil Brown can sell the sand to the Arabs. Generally, like he can. He's a very good salesman. I might need him for the gym.
He was on earlier, actually.
I know. I saw.
We'll get him on. Yeah.
Do you know? Like, I was at a friend's house, and I got a phone call from him, and he said, "Look, come down. We'll meet halfway." So we met. Where did we meet? We met at Services on the M25. I had to buy the coffees, of course. He's tight as anything.
He probably hadn't been paid in fair.
Oh yeah, to be fair, yeah. And Packet Lane Services that we met. And we just chatted. Like I'd done my B license, and he was talking to me about coaching, and I was like, I could see a pathway here. I could see like the playing days, and then I could see sort of the end with him at the football club. I could see it all, and I sort of wanted to get into a position where I felt like I was part of something again.
Yeah.
This is where like he's a big salesman. Like he showed me the stadium, like the infamous like Fossett's Farm, and I was like, "God, this is going places." And yeah, like, genuinely, like training grounds are training grounds, stadiums are stadiums. It's the same white lines. It's some are a bit more glamorous than others, but ultimately, it didn't really matter as long as. And when you show potential signing training pitches in July.
Yeah,
all the grass looked green. You don't know what the grass is going to look in December, if there is any.
Yeah,
but it was fine. The tiles in the change room were like my nan's in like the 1980s, so it was a little bit. But we got past that, and I was just like, yeah. And I think the old Marbella pre-season tour probably sold it to me a little bit more than anything else.
And what were your early impressions once that sort of season started?
Well, we played Gillingham twice, got beat
It was
twice.
3-1 both times, wasn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
So that didn't start well. But do you know what? He was great. He had a head on his shoulders where he would tell you as is, and no matter what, whether you were doing great or doing badly, he would tell you where you're at. We had a decent team around us. I think we stumbled across the system that worked for us with Steve McLaughlin on the left, Will Atkinson sort of tucked in on the right-hand side. And that really allowed us to kind of fulfill where we were going. And unfortunately, first season, we finished just outside the playoffs. And we were a better team chasing than being chased that first year. So it was good, but I loved it. First year. Should we have made it? Yeah, I think we should have done. But, it was it took us a long time to get to where we were.
Yeah. And obviously when Phil Brown then departed sort of shortly after that into the other season, how tough was that? Because he was someone that, like you said, was close to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think as much as he was close and everything else, I think we got to a point where we were a little bit stale.
Yeah.
The second season, we still went on a really long run. I think the first year we had to go on something like 3 defeats in 27 or something like that to get into a position of playoffs. And then I think the second season we went on a run of like 2 or 3 defeats in 15 or something like that, again to make a decent an attempt at it. Which coincided with obviously him leaving and Chris coming in, and I like Chris. I think he was great for us, and I think he had a rebuilding job to do in the summer, and yeah, generally I had like a bit of a tough time to start with Chris because I had like a family member pass away, so my first initial conversation with him was like, "Hi, I need time off." But he was very much a family person, so he kind of got it, and I think we got on pretty well from there, really.
Yeah, and your goal scoring record for the club, I think you're the top scorer sort of 3 years running. You did sort of bag quite regularly.
Yeah, it was nice to be a part of something that you felt a big part of, and yeah, when you're scoring regularly, it's always nice to be a part of something that's actually enjoyable.
Yeah, and there were some sort of tougher times after that, they weren't there when we came on to sort of different. I think Kevin Bond sort of kept us up, but then it was that season that he started was the kind of start of the decline. It must have been sort of tough time to have been a Southend player with everything that was going on.
Listen, mate, I think genuinely, I think it's been a tough time for the football club, supporters, players, everything. I think it's been a very, very tough time, and that what I would have hoped for is the staying up season, the Sunderland game.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Would have just kicked on and just improved on things. It just somehow it ended up going the other way. So you saw what happened after that game with the fans, coming onto the pitch and the players into the boxes and everything else, and it was as if like it was a promotion winning season.
Yeah. So
imagine what it would have been if it had been a promotion winning season. And that's where I was expecting, like the next season, us to kick on. Like we needed to invest. We needed
should have been a wake up call, really, shouldn't it?
We needed to bring players in. We needed like the infrastructure to be in place, and unfortunately, it just wasn't there. And we went the other way.
Yeah, and then Sol Campbell come in, and it was
don't
your mate.
Do we have to go on to that? I thought this was going to be a nice conversation. God.
We're only touching it really briefly. It was an interesting time.
Yeah, very, yes. I don't know. I just think there was all that big. Was it Henrik Larsson? Was it Sol Campbell? It was Henrik Larsson at the MK Dons game. It was Gary. and I like Gary. I thought Gary was great because I think he had the backing from the players.
Yeah.
He was genuinely like a really nice guy, and he had the ability to be able to be relatable to you. And then we obviously had the difference between two absolute legends of the game of Henrik Larsson and Sol Campbell. I don't think Henrik Larsson would have been great, I'll be honest, because I don't think he would have known the level and everything else. And I think he went on to go and be assistant manager at Barcelona.
Yeah.
So I think he went on to be a bit.
He must be ruined that. He must be ruined that decision.
I think he's dying at home with it.
He obviously didn't get shown the pitch to the new stadium. So it was.
Yeah. But then I think Sol Campbell was very much a case of, right, who's next, right? So he came in, and I mean, I don't want to say it, but like, I just think that there was some things in there that him as a player is a Premier League legend and everything else. Him as a coach, especially at this level, it just wasn't great. Like he just couldn't relate to the players.
Yeah.
We played, was it Dover in the FA Cup? Got knocked out.
Yeah.
And we did the review the next day, and he was talking about Steve McLaughlin, and Steve Macca had like a chance. Macca left-footed like every day of the week. You could find a more one-footed kind of thing. And he had a shot with his right foot, and Sol Campbell turned around to him and said, "Why don't you just bend it round like the player with your right foot?" I was just looking at the back going, he's left-footed. He's lucky if he stands up on his right foot. Do you know what I mean? Like, really? But like, like that's the difference, right? The difference between knowing your players and knowing what they can do and what you can't do, and the level that you're at and who you're dealing with. And it just didn't work. It really didn't work. And I think even with like Andy Cole, I was one of these players, even at 31, 32 at the time, I was like, Andy Cole coming in, 189 Premier League goals. I was like, can't wait. I'm going to learn something from him. Alex Ferguson, Kevin Keegan, Grant Hoddle, you know, all these people he's learning from. I swear to God, honestly. Like, and I don't mind him. I can sort of understand why he's the way he is, but honestly, really. But when you're a player, you kind of have to go like, let's just go with it and see what happens. But I was expecting like top level sessions and that, and I got not a top level session. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
But you ended up in Australia. How did that come around? I mean, that's sort of a hell of a move to make. So how much of a big decision was that for you?
So the season we stayed up, the Southend season, I got a phone call to say that a team in Australia would have liked me to go. Big decision. And I was like, well, they don't buy anybody. I had a year left of my contract. So, and Ron was never going to let me go for nothing. So it was either, and kind of what I wanted to do was sign like a 2 or 3 year contract at Southend with a coaching role and literally finish my playing days and go into that. And then obviously we had the Kevin Bond signed for 1 more year, and then I had a contract on the table from Ron. I came back from the summer injured, I had a calf injury. We started the season. I'd say probably about 2 weeks of pre-season. We went away to Coventry, first game. Ron then took my contract off the table, which I was a little bit like, it's there, like I'll sign it, like it's not a problem. He took it off the table. He said, we haven't started well, you haven't started well. I was like, I've done 2 weeks of pre-season, what are you expecting from me? So it got to that point, and then obviously Kevin left, Sol came in. I don't know, a few days before, I think we had AFC Wimbledon again on Boxing Day, and I think 2 days before that, Sol pulled me in the office. He was like, we don't want you anymore. You're going to have to go somewhere else. So I literally phoned my agent, and I was like, the Australia thing, is that still something that was available? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So I think I decided that I was leaving, early January, and I was gone by like the second week of January.
Man, how was it settling in?
Mate, what a country! Genuinely, what a country! I loved it. I loved it out there. I mean, I was not in a great place because I needed like hernia surgery and everything else. So I went out there, finished their season that they had. Coincided obviously with COVID and things like that, so it kind of ruined it a little bit. But unbelievable place, great people. Football is getting bigger, really competitive. A lot of Mexicans, South Americans, all of the, sort of that way, all going over, making the league a much more competitive league. And yeah, like sometimes the sunshine and at 6 a.m. in the morning is a nicer wake up to,
than this.
to what I woke up this morning to.
And then you swapped that for Billericay. So what was the...
Yeah.
I guess did you want to come back home? Was that the...
Well, I had a daughter. That kind of makes you come home.
Yeah.
So during the COVID period, I came home. My wife fell pregnant while I was out there. And I came home and needed to find something to do. Wanted, like I said to you before, I wanted to go into coaching. Josh, I saw his name just down there a second ago. Josh Wright helped me get in touch with the guys at Billericay. He was obviously playing there at the time. And I wanted to try my hand at it. Loved really going in part-time, so it was only a couple of nights a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Loved planning the sessions, really enjoyed getting involved with it. And I understand when coaches used to say to me, like, their sort of buzz is winning, planning for the win on the Saturday, so I get it. We were in a bad place. When I walked in the door in January, it was bottom of the league with like 5 points, and we went on a decent run, and we tried our hardest. We were fighting against a lot of stuff from upstairs, and I think people weren't really having the staff and whatever, and the way we were trying to do things. But ultimately, we were trying to do things that we got enough points to stay in the league. And then it got to, I think, April, somewhere in April, and then they decided to part ways, which is fine. I understand, like, in that industry, especially in management, you're only as good as your last result, and we weren't getting enough points on the board at the time to get or to stay in the league. So it would have been nice to stay in a positive way and stay in the league, and then obviously have a reshuffle in the following year, and really have a go at it, because I think it's a really attractive football club, to be fair. It's got good facilities. It's in a good area, so pays well as well for that level, so could attract really decent players. It just needs the right people in the right places to be able to make it successful. And it was an interesting thing.
Yeah. And after that, was that quite a tough period for you? Because you would have envisioned your career, you would think that you have the offers to go here, there, and everywhere. Really.
Yeah. Again, like I say, what I then did after that was basically look through my phone book and phoned up every contact who was a manager or a scout or director of football or whatever, and basically was like, can I come in? Can I watch training? Can I have a chat? Can we get a Zoom call in of Teams or whatever? And because even at that time, people were still in their bubbles. Like, it was very much a case of, we can't let outside people in, or we can only do it in this day, and this day didn't suit for one reason or another. It became harder. So it was tough, mate. It was really, really tough. And that's why, like, you kind of have to either bide your time and keep biding your time, or do you just decide that that's it, and you go on to something else, and you look for something else to do. And unfortunately, I decided that football moves on, life moves on, and would I love to be in football still? Yeah, absolutely. Would I love to be watching or helping people get 3 points on a Saturday? Would I love to be watching a successful team, climb the league and winning promotions? Yeah, absolutely. Of course I would.
Yeah.
But that's not where I'm at at the minute.
Yeah, and you started your gym, and that was something that you learned about from Australia, wasn't it? So they were very popular over there. I remember you saying that it was a bit like Starbucks. They were here.
Starbucks,
they were
they're literally on every. They're in every state. They're probably about 5 or 6 in every state over in Australia, and it was great to see. It's definitely a fitness type that I like. Short, sharp, same as a player, like short, sharp blasts instead of, I was definitely not a number 8. I was not a centre midfield player running lengths of pitches. So I was like short, sharp bursts. So 45 minutes, and especially now with people working from home a lot more, especially with people being very, very busy, we understand that you can't spend hours in the gym.
Yeah.
You can't. It's like people just don't have the time. Kids, family, jobs, everything else. So setting it up was something definitely that was worthwhile, because we get loads of different people on different journeys, starting out or been in it for a long time, all wanted to change their way, change their mindset, change the way they look, change the way they feel, their healthy habits, everything else. And it's been challenging, of course it has, but it's been very, very rewarding for sure.
Yeah, and bringing it back full circle to mental health as well, that has an important part to play, doesn't it? And staying active, and you must get that a lot in what you do now. It's a healthy body, but it's a healthy mind that
absolutely
comes with it.
So we do every couple of months we do like a 45-day challenge. Basically, that strips everything back. We look at where your good bits are, we look at where your bad bits are, we talk about your lifestyle, what your social life is like, where you're at from a mental point of view, because what we decide is that we need to set you goals, targets.
Yeah.
And if you're a person without a target, you're just a person on a journey. Now, that journey can never end if you've never got a target, but that you can never strive for anything either. So when you have, especially with a specific time scale, 45 days, you have something to achieve. You have something to strive for. You have something to aim for. And for us, it's a case of how many times do you come in the gym? What do you eat outside the gym? What do you drink outside the gym? Like, how many steps do you get in a day? All of that sort of stuff. And it really, really hones in on everything that people do outside, as much as what they do inside. And like we had, for our last one, for example, we had a guy who's of an age, 40 plus, lost 9% body fat in 45 days. We had some of our girls doing like 30, 31 days, 32 days, losing over 6 kilos in 30 days, right? So we get the result, right? It's not a case of people doing 100 days or over a course of a year or anything else like this. We do it in a real specific time. Strip it back, make you accountable, and really, really make you get what you want.
That must be rewarding for you.
It's
that
great.
Must be fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's great because even though we've been open, 7 months, seeing those really small changes in people is amazing. And I know what I do is I take my football background to it. You never achieve anything as an individual. Same in football. It might be the one person that scores a goal, but ultimately the whole team is part of it.
Wins you the game.
So for us, it's not that one person who's achieved a goal. We all achieve it for that person. And that's where I think we're massively different to your high street gym. We know everybody by name. We talk to everybody on a personal level, and we literally check in every single day. We've got WhatsApp groups with everybody, so we make sure that if anybody's struggling for whatever reason, whether it's motivation, whether it's nutrition, whether it's whatever it is, mindset, everything, we check in all the time. I just played five-a-side with most of my members.
Oh, really?
You don't get that. You don't get that with anywhere else. Like we have our socials, so we work hard and we play hard together as well. So it's great to have something that's in a completely different way to football, but very, very similar as well.
Brilliant. Superb. Thanks. Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming in.
No problem.
Surprise guest.
Yeah, I just thought I was only up the road, so I thought
I appreciate it.